Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Entab Presents CampusCare EdTalks, an exclusive platform where we invite pioneers from the education industry to share their years of experience and insights with us. So, let me quickly introduce Entab to you. With an experience of more than 2 decades, Entab has been associated with over 1,500 schools across India, evolving them to become new age digital campuses by providing them mature and futuristic ERP, CRM, and mobile apps. So, in today's webinar, we will discuss about how experiential learning is going to change the process of learning and the role of technology in making experiential learning accessible. We'll also learn about how experiential learning can reduce the job skill gap. So, let me quickly introduce our panelists today. Please welcome Ms. Charanpreet Kaur ma'am, who is the guiding force behind Guru Harikrishan Public School Mohali. Ma'am holds a degree in MEd and MPhil and believes in mentoring her students and teachers. She has received several awards and titles for her remarkable contribution to the field of education. So please welcome to Campus Care EdTalks ma'am. Welcome Charanpreet ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute.
By chance it happened.
Not a problem.
Yes, as we all know, that experiential, first of all, very good evening to everybody over here. And as we all know, the experiential learning, it started long back from John Dewey and John Piaget. But actually, the person who came up with the force was Dr. Kaur. So the experiential learning actually means what we learn through experience, in spite of whatever we are doing in the curriculum and whatever we are doing, uh, like in studies. So what that should be done through the experience. And as the topic is
Okay, I think there is some issue with ma'am's network.
here, with the rising of technology.
Um, okay, I'll start with the our other panelist. So,
Okay,
hello,
I'll
ma'am.
just take it up.
Your network is your video is getting stuck again and again. I'll just continue. So, please welcome our next panelist, Girish Kumar sir. He is currently leading Apeejay School in Jalandhar as a principal for his contribution to the field of education for more than 2 decades now. And sir has been recognized as one of the effective global leaders in 2020 by the Global Talk Education Foundation. Welcome to Campus Care EdTalk, sir.
Thank you very much.
Moving forward, last but not the least, we have Dr. Rajesh Sarmassar, who is presently guiding Sahodaya group of CBSE schools in Bhopal. And in his career span of more than 15 years, Sir has received more than 15 awards and titles, latest one being the Principal of the Year in 2019 by Global Gurus. Honor to have you here, sir. Welcome to Campus Care Ed Talks.
Thank you so much. Great honor to be on the panel. Looking forward.
Thank you so much, sir. It's our pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. And without a further ado, let's start with the webinar. So, sir, I think ma'am, your network is okay now.
I think it's little bleak, so I think we can start with someone else, then I'll come back.
Okay, ma'am. So I'll start with Giri, sir. Sir, how do you think experiential learning will change the learning experience and become the future of learning?
Good evening, everybody. I think before we talk about the future of learning and experiential learning, we must understand what experiential learning means. Like Charan Madam said, it involves a lot of experience. When children learn through experience, it is experiential learning. I think another key point of experiential learning is reflection. So children are exposed to the situation, they are exposed to certain situations which give them an experience, and then they experiment with the situation and eventually they reflect upon it. So reflection is also a key component of experiential learning. I believe experiential learning has changed the course of learning because rote learning these days has become a passe. As children are put into situations, they are made to reflect upon the outcomes of the situation, and they have a sense of achievement once they are done with the learning. They have a sense of achievement. The teacher is no longer a sage on the stage. In an experiential classroom, the teacher becomes a facilitator, a guide by the side, as they say. And experiential learning, I believe it develops critical thinking, problem solving, analysis of problem, and then problem solving, of course. So I think it's the in thing, and if we all schools adopt experiential learning, it's a very bright future for the mankind.
Thank you so much, sir, for explaining about experiential learning. And moving on to Rajesh, sir. So, what's your viewpoint on this thing?
As a matter of fact, here I would like to tell experiential learning. We are talking of future, but if we go into the past, in right from the mythological, Sandipani Ashram, when Lord Krishna was there as a student, that experiential learning is started from there. When we talk of Mahabharata, Dronacharya, Arjun, Eklavya, they were all experiential learning happening at that time. The great universities of India, when India was, of course, the golden bird, Sone ki Chidiya,
Yes,
that
sir.
was because of experiential learning. And right now, in between, when Macaulay came, this all writing started last 200 years back. And that is where we started with unexperiential learning rather on learning for the sake of degree. And that for mark sheet became more prominent than experience. And that is where you will find that I just want to quote one of the Infosys study done by Dr. Narayan Murthy, and he found 79% of the MBA holders who were employed by Infosys were non-employable because they were not having experience. So
Right.
that's what I would like. That yes, NEP has come. Experiential learning is must. And here you will be surprised. There was a Harvard study done on MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. There they found the passing out batch was given a project. They gave a wire, one battery, and a bulb to light the bulb. Can you believe 90% engineers failed? So that is what experience learning is a need of the hour if we want really strong India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And moving on to Charanpreet, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes,
what?
I do agree.
Ma'am, please go ahead.
Uh, I do agree with sir, whatever Rajesh sir said. Uh, Actually, we are leaving this behind. We are just, it's a just cutthroat competition, and we are following the mass, and one want to be one again other. But I have seen many children in my surroundings only, those who are not having the degrees, but they are doing great. They are doing great job. Whatever happens, they immediately come and turn. They rectify the things like if the refrigerator is out of order or something like that happens. It happened in my own place that my one of the cousin who was just not even 10th pass, he could do that because he was not good in studies, he was not scoring. But the engineering part, he kept on looking at and he couldn't find the fault out from the refrigerator, and he finally failed. Like that means that was only the learning part which was lacking. Actually, actual learning was lacking. uh, just learning how it comes up, and experiencing the thing. There are two different ways which are and one has to come up with both of the tracks. Otherwise, the child will fail. Absolutely. So I do think experiential learning is very very important, and these days it's a it's a age of IT experts and AI. Since we are looking and we are monitoring many things, but that is a part of the monitoring. But where the child stands, that is very important to come up with, because if we will not give him any sources or any exposure, he won't be able to understand what he's doing basically. That's why he's cramming finally, and we are having LD. In fact, I have seen LDs who do wonders, who really do wonders and make beautiful things. So can't call them LDs. If they're not writing well, that doesn't mean they don't have intellect or so. So somewhere there is a big questioning and confusion, and it is very very important. I'm very happy that NEP has brought up this platform for the students so that they can at least utilize their education in the process.
Ma'am, as we are talking about experiential learning and NEP, our audience would like to know how has technology introduced new forms of experiential learning.
Well, as far as the education is concerned, the biggest example is the pandemic.
Right.
During pandemic, all schools were closed and virtual learning was going on. And that was the biggest example, and it was the biggest help to the students how they were learning online. Although it took time for everybody to get in tuned with this process, but obviously it made a great uh, help to the students as well as to the educators who could sit at home. The students were sitting at home and the tutors were sitting at home, and they were teaching, they were not stopped. They reached their homes and taught them, and they themselves learned so many things, and then they approached the students. So, although there were so many flaws, but obviously that has to be rectified, since the values have to be given. So many things which we can help them out with the processes, like we could give them any practical learning through virtually. But it was great, like it was great that the students were and still learning, because as sir said, in our school we don't have, they have not even opened, so probably they are not sitting idle, at least. They are learning something.
Right.
Right.
Uh, Rajesh, so would you like to add something to what ma'am just mentioned about the technology introduction?
As a matter of fact, I must say here, technology has been absolutely very, very helpful. Now children, when they are having virtual tour to the museum, they were having virtual tour to the locations, they were having virtual experiments done. So through the technology, they were getting almost an experience of what real world can be. And that's where the virtual reality was almost, they were able to, sense it. Then they were able to understand different kind of habitats, the social setup, and the way government function. All these were possible because of technology. So technology has been absolutely, rather I would say, very very helpful. And during pandemic, everybody has come on technology. So it has been a boom, surely.
That is
Thank you.
true, sir. That is true. After pandemic, everybody now using technology. Moving on to Girish, sir. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think I almost echo the same sentiments of Charanpreet Madam and Dr. Rajesh, that technology has given us a boost, particularly in these times of COVID. And we all learn through experience. Children also learn through experience, teachers also learn through experience, and then companies also learn through experience.
Right.
So whatever challenges they faced, they came up with the solutions, and quickly Zoom also customized itself to the needs of the hour. Apart from it, I think technology can facilitate visualization among our students, and
Sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, I can hear you. Not a problem.
I think
Even
Girish
I,
sir's, yeah, I think Girish
sir's
sir's
net is
internet.
down.
Girish sir has got some
Okay.
stuck up.
So, Rajesh sir, I'll start with you as sir's internet is not working properly. So now that we have experiential learning, we have NEP. The lockdown was there. We came into technology, but we know that experiential learning is new for everyone, including the teachers as well. So what tips will you like to share with the teachers to make the maximum use of experiential learning?
Yeah, I would like to, teachers must understand that experiential learning is something which will give them real life experience. And if we go to the basic, definition of education, what is education? Education is the way a person lives life. And that is where the teachers have to emphasize on experiential learning. They have to expose the children, every student, to understand how it happens. Like I tell you example. First example, the teacher wanted to, teach the children how much effort it requires to make a nest. Okay? So experientially what they did, they gave a project to the student of the class that every student will make a nest and the best way possible. So can you understand the way every student has tried to collect straws, leaves, clothes and tried to make a nest out of it? So this is how the experiential learning is try to understand how nesting happens, how the effort is made, and how difficult it is to make that intricate, weaving purpose. So experiential learning teacher have to teach it, then the child will absolutely remember it for life. Please understand, when they do it, they remember it. So that's where the teachers will be getting it. The tips are that please try as much experiential learning in the classroom as possible. Thank
Right,
you.
sir. Moving on to Charanpreet, ma'am. Ma'am, what do you think about the same thing? And Girish, sir, welcome back. I think there is something wrong with your internet.
Yes, so my connection went off, so I'm joining again.
Okay. Charanpreet, ma'am, I'll continue with you. Ma'am, what do
Okay.
you think? Ma'am,
Yes,
how?
I
Yeah, yeah. Ma'am, please go
definitely
ahead.
it is correct because as the child who is learning, suppose we are teaching him aeroplane and we have not shown him. So, like, he will make so many visualizations of an aeroplane. Yes, it can be like this, it can be like this, it can be like this. So, how it can fly. So, when he will see, he will be able to understand. It's a very simple example. Yes, this is how it works, right? So that's important right from the very scratch. The child should know whatever he is studying or she's studying is should be in front of him. As the technology, it can be great because every school is equipped with the smart boards and smart classes, and it has been almost a very good help to the teacher and the student also to have that. And when the same things he watches live, or he goes somewhere, and it helps the child a lot in that case.
Right, ma'am. Girish sir, you were disconnected in between. I was just discussing with Rajesh sir and Charanpreet ma'am about that we know that experiential learning is new for everyone, including our teachers. So would you like to share a few tips with the teachers to make the maximum use of experiential learning?
Yeah, so I apologize for this technical glitch.
So
I
we
tried to join
understand.
through some other. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think teachers should create opportunities for our students for self learning because the objective of experiential learning is to create autonomous learners. If a child is able to learn and then relearn and relearn this kind of a thing, So if a child is able to grow into an autonomous learner, that's the ultimate objective of experiential learning. So teachers should create opportunities for self-learning, learning through experience, learning through reflection. Uh, they should create opportunities for children to engage into a situation, to experience the situation, and to reflect over the outcomes of whatever they create. And this needs a thorough preparation on the part of the teacher also, because the teacher has to prepare the content and think about the process of the delivery of the lecture right in the beginning. It has to be an advanced preparation. So I think teachers should prepare well, and they must realize that the ultimate objective is to create a self learner, and they should create such opportunities for the children to indulge into self learning through experience and reflection.
Right, sir. Sir, as we're talking about this experiential learning in our schools. Do you think at higher secondary level, like the universities, will also be required to include value education in their curriculum?
See, absolutely, whatever foundation is laid in the school, ultimately the building, the mansion takes shape in the universities and higher level education. So I think higher level education also integrate value systems and value education and experiential learning into the curriculum.
Right.
I must share one example with you. A couple of years ago, I happened to visit Bhutan, and Bhutan, the government, as a sole uh, educational policy, they follow the policy of gross national happiness. And I visited a couple of schools in Bhutan, and I found their curriculum was well embedded with this idea of gross national happiness. So whether they are teaching physics or they are teaching mathematics in the classroom, their idea is to inculcate that sense of happiness amongst their children. So somehow, we also need to have a kind of curriculum which embeds values to it, and it is an integral part of our curriculum. CBSE has already initiated this process by asking some value-based questions in the examinations, but I think that should not remain confined to value-based questions. It should go beyond it. Teachers, when they teach in the class, they must go beyond the subject and try to connect the subject with life. It is very important whether we are teaching physics or we are teaching chemistry or we are teaching mathematics. Connection with life is very, very important. If you do not connect the subject with the life, then that value of the subject is lost. And so I think universities, of course, must take it forward from where the children are taken left at the school end of the school.
I would just add up to
Of course,
these
ma'am.
things in a university, as we all see outside abroad. They always have a internship part which helps them to understand the subject and whatever the degree they are doing. So in every part, in every field, they have the internship part so that they learn how actually whatever they are studying, how it works, and it gives them some earning also. So they do know the value of the money also.
No,
So that can be used here also.
of course, ma'am. I agree. I agree. Rajesh, sir, what you think? What will you add something to it?
Uh, It's a very simple thing. Please understand, psychologists say values are not taught, they are caught. CAUGHT. Okay. So when you have to catch something, it means it is experiential. There have to be a role model. And that role model in the school is the teacher. And I here want to put a fact into the view that value education books have been going on in the school for last 50 years, but our values have deteriorated. What I mean to say that teaching value will not have. You have to make them experience. You have to bring it into the classroom practically. When they are playing, when they are reading, when they are appearing for the examination. Now we have had online examination. Can you believe the kind of way they have attempted to? And even parents having party to it many places it is observed. So that is where we have to grow as a country. Values have to be brought into it, inculcated, and that can happen only when role models, all the people of importance. Parent, teacher, all the leaders have to show the child must experience I will get better with better value. So that's what I want to say.
That can, sir, I'm sorry, that can only happen if we don't measure the child with the points, or say scale of this percentages and all. If that grading part was done earlier, but now again the same thing is happening, because if the parent is after the life of the child, yes, yes, you haven't scored this much and that, so that really creates a stress on the mind of the student. So although he's good in his practical ways, or whatever, in the practical, the same thing, whatever he's doing. So, but again, the things come up with, you got just 60% and that person got only 80%. See how he can do. So the child is stressed. How will he create his own way of expressing his own talent and skills?
Ma'am,
So that is very
absolutely.
important.
Ma'am, that is absolutely correct. Giri sir, as we are, at the end of the webinar, experiential learning has an edge over the traditional learning. So, sir, do you consider it to have a better return on investment?
There's no doubt about it. I mean, absolutely yes. Experiential learning is an in thing. Schools have been using technology, but very few have been following it to the hilt. So I think it's high time that we must switch over to technology, usage of technology, and of course, switch over to the experiential learning in toto. Share one example, real example with you. Recently, 2 3 days ago only, my younger son, who's a class five student, he came to me with a computer notebook which stated that data and plus process is equal to information. He did not know the meaning of it. He simply read data plus process is equal to information. When I wanted to further know its meaning, he could not explain to me. So I told him, okay, do one thing. Tomorrow you will go around your neighborhood, you will find out how many members are there in a family, how many males are there, how many females are there, what is the age group. So he went down 3 4 homes and he found out you know, the members of the family, their names and their genders and their age, etc. So he collected the data. I said, this is data. Now let's process it. How many of them are 16-year-old? So he could process it and he could bring out the information that there are four children who are in the age group of 14 to 16. And then he found out, okay, how many males are there? Okay, there are 10 male members in all. How many females are there? So he could, through his own processes, he could analyze the data and he could come out with some information. And in a very practical manner, I taught him how data plus process results into information. That is what is happening in our schools. We simply teach them data plus process is equal to information. But how it is that it is not taught. So somewhere schools need to switch over to a new way of teaching and learning, and experiential learning is an in thing. We must all go in for it without a second thought.
Absolutely, sir. Moving to Rajesh, sir, what do you think?
It is must, when we are talking of experiential learning, so I hear, because now we are having the headlines are farmers and the agriculture in our country right now. So when you want to teach the children like lentils or pulses, can they recognize? Can they recognize the grains? I tell you one experience. Many children may not differentiate between a cow, ox, and a bull. For a young child, all are cows. So can we this kind of knowledge where they really do not understand? For them, pulses they may not distinguish between rajma and chana dal. Can that be useful? So that is where my request is that every one of us have to bring in that into the classroom, and that's what how nice experience the experience Girish has shared, that the difference between is the perception. I tell you, we teach psychologists that what is perception. Now, how do you understand the perceptual differences? One individual is different from other. Can we take the child and just show one painting, and then they start naming it on their own. And that's what a perceptual difference is. So this is the way every child has to be taught experiential learning, and they have to understand it. And that's where the concept will be clear. When we are talking about conceptual learning can happen only through experience. So that's what my
Absolutely,
take
sir.
is.
And Charanpreet, ma'am, would you like to add something to it?
Well, that's right. Every child has to be brought to that part that the child is, whatever he is studying, has to be given that framework that the child is able to conduct or practically or check. Like Sir Rajesh, sir, I think Girish, sir, he said he told his child to move around and find out the data. So the information is collected, and then he came up with the concept actually, that what was the basic concept. He was just learning and he was not doing, so he's learning by doing. So learning by doing is very important in that case. I would definitely, I'll tell, like, this is the simple example. Now we have people in Delhi who are protesting. They have made wonders, like they have really, what you call, survival of the fittest. They have made such things. They can as easily get their food. They can charge their mobiles in spite of not having any sources. I'm wondering, they have made their tractors bulletproof and waterproof. That is actually AI which they are using.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
how do we say they are learners, and they are not techno savvy, or they're not having any BTech degree or so. They are supposed to be farmers, but according to their needs, they are doing. So learning by doing is very important, I presume.
Absolutely, ma'am. I agree. And that is the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, ma'am. And sir, Girish sir, Rajesh sir, for joining in today and sharing all the insights about experiential learning. And thank you so much for all the viewers for joining in today in Campus Care Ed Talk. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
Thanks
It
for the
was
opportunity.
it was
thank
great to being with all of you people and discussing with you people. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sandeep ma'am. Thank you, Grisha. Bye bye.
Thank you,
So,
sir.
Rajesh,
Thank you,
thank you,
sir.
Jalandhar.
Thank you.